Hello guys. In the previous video, we have seen what would happen if Antarctica was a green continent. And that was not a good idea after all. So now it is the time for something new. But this time, we will be transforming a scorching hot desert instead of a freezing cold continent. Let's hope that this scenario doesn't get as worse as how Antarctica did. Now, without further ado, let's begin the video. In the previous video we let Antarctica to turn green naturally. But, this time, for a change, let's turn the Sahara green artificially. Imagine the United States of America filled with heaps of sand, ferocious sandstorms and as empty as outer space. Well, that's how Sahara Desert looks like. That's huge. But, if you were thinking that the Sahara is the largest desert on Earth, then it's time to change your thoughts. Yes, Sahara is the third largest desert on Earth. But, what are the other two? You may have not expected the answer. But, in fact Antarctica and Arctic occupy the first two spots if we go by the definition of desert. Anyway, they are cold deserts. And Sahara is the largest hot desert on Earth, not the largest. Anyway, it covers an area of more than 9 million square kilometers. And if you thought that the Sahara is hot all year round, what you are thinking is incorrect. Every 20,000 years or so, there is a heavy downpour over North Africa that triggers the growth of plants in the desert. But sadly, this doesn't last long. Again begins the advent of torrid temperatures and this ruins the growth of these plants. And humans haven't seen a green Sahara since humans had learned agriculture. Now, what if we plant lots of plants in the Sahara Desert? It would require $2 trillion a year just for that. Is money the only problem? Well, it is not. This is just the beginning. This hypothetical scenario would result in a long chain of continuous problems. Before that, we can look at the merits. These trees could take in a lot of carbon dioxide. Yes, I mean a lot. To be more accurate, 1 hectare of trees can take in all carbon dioxide released by a car in a 100,000 kilometer drive. Which is 2.5 times the circumference of the Earth. So if this is successful, we can add a few million hectares of trees to support us in our combat against climate change. But is this possible? Why not? We already have just done a mini version of this. Kubuchi Ecological Restoration Project of China has been successful in transforming 1/3 of Kubuchi Desert into a forest with over 70 plant species each having a 30-year lifespan. That was just a mini project. But how can we possibly irrigate the crops if it was a mega project? It can be an effective method if we use drip irrigation system and pump desalinated water from the coast of Africa through pipelines. Before we can do this, we have to choose a suitable plant that can thrive in such extreme hot temperatures. Few good ideas would be eucalyptus plants and buckeye trees. This would help in lowering the temperature of the desert by a considerable amount of around 8 degrees Celsius. With climate change getting increasingly intense each day, why can't we do this in real life? Hadn't I mentioned in the beginning itself that it would cost us $2 trillion a year for maintenance? If the world nations agree to contribute money for the greater need of humanity, we can well establish this plan. But, unless for the flaws. The desert would turn wetter and wetter due to the presence of more trees. This weather would not affect the Amazon rainforest. But, this is Sahara. Such a weather would attract swarms of locusts. But locusts can't be so dangerous, can they? Well, for your information, a small swarm of locusts consume as much food as 2,500 people eat in a day. So, a huge swarm of locusts can damage all the plants in the desert. Yet, locusts are not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the environmental domino effect that this could cause. Number 1 is that, winds carry Sahara Desert sand and deposit it in South America across the Atlantic. These sand particles pick up moisture from the air during the long journey and bring down rain when it falls from the sky. This blend of sand and water falls on the Amazon and helps it by providing essential nutrients along with water. So, if there's a green Sahara, it indirectly means no Amazon. Even if Sahara has the potential to lower carbon dioxide emissions, would it be worth enough to eradicate another part of the planet for that? And also, our activity would bother other animals living in the Sahara as well. Attacks, camels, fennec foxes, oryxes, gazelles, Cape hares, desert vipers, deathstalkers would all need to search for another habitat. And thus they venture out into residential areas and terrorize our villages. So, just like Antarctica, Sahara is also not worth transforming into a forest. Well, if small parts like Antarctica and Sahara are not enough, what would happen if we set aside half of Earth's land area for this mission? Will it work out? Let's see in another video. Till then, goodbye. Cheers.